Hello YouTubers, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. Now in my last rock cutting video, got cut into a lot of banded iron. It was really pretty, really pretty stuff. And I'll put a link to that video in the upper right if you haven't seen it, because that's just some gorgeous material. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it. I'm going to polish and keep a couple of pieces. I'm also in the process of tumbling some of the smaller pieces. And I'll tell you what, they are turning out really nice, even though they're only in rough grit still. Maybe we'll get a look at those towards the end of the video, because I'll need to get the tumbler off and empty it out and wash the rocks off, show you what they look like. But we didn't get to some of the rocks I had in that last video. Got some more rocks I collected while I was out in Wyoming doing my collecting out in the back of Beyond. A couple of chunks here. They may not be too interesting once I cut into them. They may be nothing more than quartzite. It's got a crystal vug in it. It's got crystals showing. Might be interesting inside, might not. Got another piece of banded iron, which is kind of an odd shape. Kind of be difficult to hold in the vise, in the saw, and cut. But the banded iron I've already cut was so pretty, I got to figure out a way to do something with that. Because it's just, the banded iron's gorgeous stuff. Got some purple, Wyoming purple Jasper here that I need to, expose the insides and see what it looks like. And then, of course, last but not least, I got the Lysite Agate. Far from least, because this looks like this is going to be a really pretty rock once I cut it. This was soaking into muriatic acid in the last episode to get the caliche off of it. I mean, it was just a big white lump. Looked like a piece of concrete. You couldn't really even tell it was agate until I got all that caliche off of it. So yeah, so now we can see it is agate. It's got maybe some druzy quartz over here, and this is going to be just a beautiful rock. I'm just going to take a few light slices on it, maybe along this side and along this side, just to expose the beautiful innards of this thing. And eventually I might polish those faces just to make it really pretty. So let me get the saw set up. I need to show you something. I've made a modification to the saw since the last video. I basically put an automatic shutoff feature on it, which these saws normally come with, and this saw probably had 100 years ago when it was new, but at some point it got stripped off. So I have recreated that, and I'll show you how I did that real quick, just in case you need to do something similar to your saw. Okay, let's get the saw opened up here and take a look at what I've done. And I'll give you a closer up look at this, but basically I've run a chain from the carriage over to here, and I've run a small steel cable, skinny steel cable, through a hole in the wall here and out to the power switch. And let me make sure it's unplugged. It is. It's not a test you want to run while it's plugged in, trust me. I made that mistake. So let's see, the saw is unplugged. So here's the power switch. You'd put your rock in here, you'd set the carriage where you want it so that it moves, and you can adjust the length of this chain, whatever length you need, okay? And then what'll happen is, as the carriage moves this way, it will put tension on the chain, pull on the cable, and pull on the switch. So there's the power switch in the on position, and as the carriage slowly moves over, what it's going to do is it's going to pull the switch off and shut it off. So it's going to stop the machine before it gets into a position where it can do damage by running the carriage or the rock into the hub of the blade, which has happened. My stepson is notorious for starting this thing up, cutting something, and forgetting about it until it's too late. And in all honesty and full disclosure, I've done it too. So, it's like I've wanted to add this since day one. I'll give you a closer up look at this, what I've done here, in case you want to make a similar modification to your saw. Yeah, so here's the chain. I think this originally had something like this, because this piece sticking out here, I think was meant to be attached to a chain, just like I've attached it. And then the other end of the chain, come over here, there's an S hook, so I can adjust the length of the chain. So I don't need the carriage to travel full length all the time. I made the length of the chain just so that the carriage can travel about as far as it would ever need to cut the biggest thing this thing can cut. Okay, but you can shorten the chain up in case you're cutting a small rock, so this thing doesn't run for a half hour longer than it needs to cut that small rock before it shuts off. Again, I'm pretty sure this had an automatic shut-off at some point, because this hole I have run the little cable through was here. There was already a hole there. So I think, yeah, this already had an automatic shut-off feature when it was new at some point, but it's been rebuilt a few times, including by me. And by the time we got it, it did not have that feature anymore. This just has a regular toggle switch for the on-off switch over here. And I couldn't figure out at first how to attach the cable to that, but then I thought, well, let me just get a nut. So this is like a 5/16 nut. It just barely fits over the knobby end of the toggle switch there. And what I did was I drilled and tapped a hole in it for a 632 thumb screw. And what I can do is I ran that through the cable there, through a loop in the cable, and tighten it down on the knobby end of the switch. And that seems to work pretty well. I mean, we need to check and make sure that this is tight from time to time, because it could loosen up from vibration. But, so there we go. There's our automatic shut-off, so that could just start this thing basically and walk away from it. Never a good idea to start it up and walk away from it, but yeah, at least it won't damage itself now. It should shut off. Now there is one little gotcha with this. This will pull the switch so far, and the switch will lose contact. It'll stop, it'll shut the machine down, but it doesn't actually snap to the off position. So you have to be careful to make sure when you come out here and the thing's stopped, you have to actually snap the thing over the rest of the way to the off position. Otherwise, you open the lid, you're messing around inside, you take tension off the chain, the thing will start up and you'll be spattered with oil. So, yeah, so it's not a perfect system, but it's better than it was. Okay. Oh, and yeah, the inside, I need to clean this out really bad. Sooner or later, it looks like a massacre in there from all the banded iron I was cutting in that last video. So, okay, let me get a rock in here and we'll cut it. I think we'll start with one of the quartzite looking things just to see what's inside. And then we'll go to some of the more interesting rocks. Maybe we'll get lucky and there'll be something interesting inside one of the quartzite blobs. Alright, I've got one of those big blobs of what I'm pretty sure is quartzite in here. I was kind of dithering about how I wanted to cut it. I thought, should I just cut off one of the semi-flat faces a little bit and see what it looks inside. And I'm just going to cut clear across the length of it and see what's inside. It's got several bugs, crystal-filled bugs, that are showing on the outside. Let's see what's on the inside. So I think I'm just going to cut all the way through it and see if there's anything interesting on the inside. I've got my chain set to the length I need so that the machine will shut off shortly after the cut's done. So we are ready to go. Alright, so here we go. And this will probably take a good 20 minutes. Back when it's done. Okay, cut's done. Let's see what we've got. The oil mist out slowly. Oops. It's got some interesting banding in it. We didn't cut into any crystal bugs, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. Huh. Let me see if I can take a thin slice off of it. Let's see if it's strong enough to allow me to take a thin slice off. If I have enough travel on my carriage here, which I think I do. Yeah. Let's try taking a thin slice and see what it looks like. I'll bet it's nice and translucent. And I'll give you a close-up look at this piece too. Get this started up again. And give you a look at this. Well, there we are. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it's not the prettiest rock I've ever seen, but it is kind of interesting. let's see what the thin slice looks like. So here's the thin slab I cut off of it. It's interesting, I have to say. It's interesting. It's not all that pretty, but it's interesting. It's not nearly as translucent as I would have hoped. It's nearly opaque. A few areas, these lighter areas, some light comes through, but it's not nearly as translucent as I was hoping. So this is interesting, but yeah, not interesting enough for me to keep cutting on it. I think we're going to try something a little different. Let's go with this purple Jasper. I've been wanting to know what's in there. So we got a face here where it's fractured. It's not quite straight across there, but it's close. I could probably clean this up and get straight across there, or I could cut it. Well, basically I could cut it anywhere by the looks of it and expose some of this purple Jasper. So, yeah, let me think about it. How I want to put it in the saw. And once I get it in there, we'll see if you guys agree with the way I'm cutting it. Okay? Okay, I just took this out of the saw. And it didn't really show up on the piece I cut off. But, yeah, I've cut into a crystal-filled vug here. I was hoping there were some of those inside. Not a very big one. But I might have to take some more slices off this. But I think I'll leave that for later. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the purple Jasper like I was planning on. There might be some more interesting stuff in here if I take another thin slice or two off. And then, of course, I've still got this piece, which I think is the same thing, which I haven't even started cutting on yet. So we'll see if we get to that today. It's Jasper time. Okay, some of you may disagree on how I'm going to cut this, but listen to my logic of why I'm doing it this way. This rock is so irregularly shaped, it's very difficult for me to clamp it in the vise in pretty much any other orientation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut through here, cut this knob off, skim through here, and cut this knob off. We'll see what it looks like underneath. I may want to take some more slices off of this side, maybe, maybe not. But if nothing else, I will have a flat side then that will aid me in clamping this so that I can cut it on other sides. And I think the pieces that come off will probably still be good for tumbling. So that's my logic. We'll see how it goes. Alright, let me get her closed up and get her started. Okay, that didn't quite work out the way I hoped. These pieces that came off were a little smaller than I was expecting. And I can still try tumbling them, but yeah, and I don't really have a very flat spot there, so I think I'm going to take another cut. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know how strong this stuff is. It should be pretty strong. Should be able to get pretty thin pieces out of it, but I'm going to have to go deeper than I really want to get a nice flat side on it. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got. Ooh, lots of oil mist is what we got, and we got a slab. All right. Okay. Interesting. We'll take a close-up look at that. I'll pull the rock out, and we'll take a close-up look at that and decide what I want to do next with it. Okay, here we go. So here's the piece I cut off. And here's the rock. It's not quite as pretty on the inside as I'd hoped. Yeah. But at least I have a flat face now, so I think I can put it in the saw like this and clamp it down and maybe cut parallel to this nearly flat face here and see if we can expose what's in there. Maybe that'll be a little prettier. Maybe. Maybe not. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll put it back in the saw and cut across like that. Just take a thin slice off and we'll see what it looks like inside. Yeah, okay. That's my next plan of attack. Alright, I'm going to take a slice as close to parallel to this face as I can. You know, I've got a flat spot on the bottom now, but the top is really super irregular still, so it's not sitting in the vise all that well. I hope it doesn't pop out during the cut. But we're going to give it a shot and see what we get. We'll see if this purple Jasper is as pretty on the inside as it's supposed to be. Cuts I made so far, not all that great. We'll see. Let's see what it looks like. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Looks like we didn't get a good slice. Looks like we just got some pieces off here. I ain't going deep enough. That's the problem. Okay. We're going a little deeper. And we'll try that again. Yeah, there's a low spot here. So that's why we didn't get a good slice off of it. Try that again. See what that looks like. And we're off. Okay, while that chunk of Jasper's cutting, it's going to take about 20 minutes. Let's have a look at the stuff I've been tumbling. So all these pieces of banded iron are stuff I picked up on my last rock hounding trip out in Wyoming. And you know, this is the first piece I picked up. It was right outside the door of the truck when I parked and got out that first time. And I said, well, that's not a showpiece, but I'll keep it. Well, you know what? Tumbling it, it's starting to look like a showpiece. And this is all just rough grit. This has only been in a rough grit here. This is not fine polished yet. As it dries out, it'll start looking dull. This one, not turning out as nice as I'd like. The banding in it's really subtle, but it is polishing up nice. But boy, look at some of these banded irons down here. Wow. These are just amazing. This one here, the colors in it are crazy. Look at the colors and the way the bands are all distorted. This one here, nice. This one here looks like it fractured while tumbling, but it's got some really nicely polished up sides on it. This is just a rock I found in our driveway out in Wyoming. It was already pretty smooth. I just decided to throw it in. There's another rock I found in our driveway in Wyoming. Not sure what it is, but it's polished up nice and pretty. Now I got a couple of pieces here. Sweetwater moss agate. This is not a very pretty piece, but it is a piece of it. Alright? This is a somewhat prettier piece. Now I picked these up on that first rock hounding trip that Leslie and Mary and I did when we were out in the Red Hills. I'll put a link to that video in the upper right. And what else do we got here? There's a little piece of agate. And just various bits of, look at the banding on the bottom of that one there. Yeah, that's I love the banded iron. It's amazing. That's a chunk of banded iron, a thin piece. So yeah, this stuff's turning out pretty darn good. I thought I had another agate in here, but I don't see it. That one. Well, maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway, these are going to go to medium grit now, and I'm going to continue tumbling them. So that's their next stop. Let me get these back in the tumbler while the Jasper's cutting. Okay, the cut's finished. I hope you can see okay. It's getting dark out here. I think we're going to have a storm. Clouds are getting thick. Alright, let me pull this stuff out and we'll have a close-up look at it up on the bench, okay? Alright, this stuff Not quite as pretty as I was hoping it would be. I don't know, I could keep taking slices off of it. I might find something prettier inside, but it is quite translucent. I'll give it that. Let's see here. Yeah, it's quite translucent for a not particularly thin slab. So, I don't know, it might polish up okay, but it's really just not that pretty, at least not to my eye. Okay? You know, I'll have to keep my eye out for some better looking purple Jasper. I think we'll leave the purple Jasper alone for now, and get to work on this Lysite Agate over here. But I'll tell you what, it is really starting to look like it's going to storm, so I may put this on hold until maybe tomorrow, and I will think about how I want to cut this. Maybe across this face. It's kind of triangular in shape, so I could maybe cut across this face, across this face, across that face, and expose the internal structure some. That's a possibility. 3 cuts on it. And the pieces that come off might be pretty too. So that's a possibility. I'll think about that. And maybe we'll reconvene tomorrow, because it is really starting to look ugly out here. Alright, the sun's out. Haven't seen the sun in 2 days. It was dark and gloomy all morning and spitting rain. Here it is mid-afternoon and the sun's finally come out. So we can commence to doing this again, because you can actually see what I'm doing. It got so dark the other day when I was out here that I could hardly see what I was doing, let alone film it. So I've got the Lysite Agate in the saw. And my cutting plan here, because it's kind of triangular shaped, so it's got like a face here, and a face back here. First thing I'm going to do is clean up the base of the triangle. And I'm going to take a fairly heavy cut on it. In fact, maybe even slightly heavier than I've got in here. And I'm hoping that the piece that comes off will be pretty, as well as cleaning up the back end of it. And then once I have that cut done, I'll decide what I want to do with the other 2 faces. Whether I just want to skim them or take some meat off, in hopes that the pieces that come off are going to be nice looking too. So I'll have to think about that. Let me see what this first piece looks like after I get the cut done. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Kind of interesting. Oh yeah. Kind of pretty. Kind of neat. Okay. Yeah. That is kind of neat there. Alright. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate this part and take a cut on another face and see what it looks like. I'll give you a close-up look at this face here with my phone before I do anything else. There's the cut face of the Lysite Agate that I've cut so far. Not too shabby, huh? Yeah, very interesting. But you know what? I think I'm going to turn it and cut one of the other faces and see what it looks like before I decide what else to do with this. So, decisions. Yeah, that face is kind of pretty. Do I want to cut slabs off of it? Or do I want to try turning it and cutting one of the other faces, clean it up, and see what I get? That's a good question, huh? That's a really good question. Let me pull this rock out and look at it and decide what I want to do. Yeah, I think I want to cut across this face right here, just to see what it looks like underneath. I'm not going to take too much meat off. I just want to kind of expose it. That's what I think I'm going to do. want it. Yeah, we'll cut across that face, see what it looks like, and decide what else we might want to do with this stone, okay? So here's the little piece I cut off with that first cut. It's really kind of neat in this area here. Very pretty. Leslie has a friend who makes jewelry. We're going to take her some stones that maybe she could cab up and make some necklaces out of. So some of this might be included in that, as well as some of the stones I cut in my last agate cutting video. I'll put a link to the upper right to when I was cutting agates before. You can check that out if you like. I will wait for this cut to finish and see what we got. Alright, let's see what we've done here. That's kind of interesting. Spots. Yeah. I'll give you another close-up look at that. So here we are. That's that side. I have to say, it's interesting, but I don't think it's as interesting as the first side. What do you think about it? Do I want to cut some slabs off the first side, or do I want to rotate it and try cutting the third side, because it is triangular, and see what the third side looks like under the crust? I think I'll pull the rock out and look it over before I decide what to do. Okay, so here's the slab we just cut off. Here's the first slab we cut off. Now, to my unartistically sophisticated eye, I would say that this face is a lot more interesting than this face, even though it's longer. So then there's this side, which I haven't cut into yet. And I'm thinking if I take, I don't know, take a cut through there, what am I going to expose and what am I going to destroy? You know, it's a trade-off. What am I going to expose and what am I going to destroy? But you know what? I think I can take a cut through here, see what it looks like cutting through this vug, and still leave a lot of meat on this side. I want to take slabs off here. So I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to take a cut across here, just slice it like that, and see what it looks like inside. Take the risk. What the heck? This rock didn't cost me very much, and you know, if I get a couple slices out of it that could be cabbed by an artist, that'd be great. So let me get it back in the saw and get it cut. Alright, got the rock in the saw. I'm going to take a cut down through here, and we'll see what we get. Wish me luck. And we're off. Alright, let's have a look. Oil mist out, and hey, look at that. Look at that. That's cool. Let's see what the rock itself looks like. Oh yeah, that's pretty neat. I'm going to pull the rock out and we'll take a close look at it up on the bench, okay? Yeah, is that cool or what? Wow, look at that. Yeah, that's nice. That is really nice. But I doubt it goes in much further. You know, this, however this went on here, I think it went on like this maybe. Yeah, that really doesn't go in much further. So I don't know if I want to cut. If I take a slab off of here, one side at least might have this pattern in it. The other side, who knows what it's going to have. I mean, so, but yeah, that's definitely the side. If I'm going to take a slab off, yeah, this was my second choice right here with the neat colors in there and the banding. And this would be my first choice, and well, we're not even going to do that side. So, I think I will put this back in the saw and cut a slab across here, just thick enough to be cabbed, and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, I am set up to cut about a 1/4 inch thick slab off of that. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's going to hold together, and we'll get something pretty out of it. Let's see. There's the moment of truth. Oh, it broke in half. Didn't hold together, but they're really pretty parts on one side. Yeah, on one piece. All right. That is kind of neat. Let's see what the rock looks like. Yeah, it's still pretty. Still pretty in there. I might be tempted to take another slab off of that, or try to anyway. But yeah, that's nice. We'll take a close-up look at that over at the workbench. Alright. Yeah, I think while everything's working good, I'll just go ahead and take another 1/4 inch slab off of that. Well, no, I won't, because we run out of travel on my vise. Okay. I'll have to reposition the rock to try and get another slab off. Alright, let me do that, and then we'll look at the pieces we already got. So here's the slice I just took off. Unfortunately, it broke right there. It looks like there's an existing fracture in there. We'll see how deep it goes in. The next slice may come off in 2 pieces too. But still, wow, that's quite a pretty pattern in there on both sides. Yeah. So that's nice. I like that. It actually came out a little thin too. Maybe if I cut it thicker. I was aiming for a 1/4 inch, but it came out a little thin. Let's see what this next slice looks like, and that may be all I have time to do today. We'll see. Well, here's the last slab I cut off. And this side, not near as pretty. This side, that's the last of that vug. So, you know, it was kind of like that. So, yeah, that was the last of that vug. Not too much more of interest right there on that. That's the side I was slicing on right there just now. So there's not too much there. I'm still liking this, my second choice over here. If I was going to take more slabs off, I'd take it off of this side. See what this looks like. See if it, you know, expands or just continues to go in. I like that light blue with a thin band of white and then blood red around it. That's very cool. I might take some more slabs off of this side just to see if there's more of that. But I think I'll save that for tomorrow because it's getting late. It took a long time for the sun to decide to come out. So I've been having a closer look at this stuff. You know, sometimes I just need to engage my brain to figure things out. You know, it's clearly, it's a silica, it's opaque, it has no crystal structure except in the vugs where there's some quartz crystals. But really, there is no visible crystal structure. It's very fine and smooth. What is it? Well, that's the definition of chert. Of course, it's chert. So, I actually Googled, you know, after I came up with this idea, I Googled chert with quartz vugs in it, and I found a photo online that looks like it could be the identical twin of this rock. So, yeah, okay, so chert with quartz vugs. That's what we've got here. It's a very interesting rock on the inside. I like it. I like it. I think it's prettier than the purple Jasper I was cutting into, though not quite as pretty as the Lysite Agate. So, speaking of the Lysite Agate, we need to do a little more cutting on it. So, I think this is the most interesting face. I'm going to take some small cuts off of this and see what's going on around this bluish area with the white and red rind around it. See what it looks like in there as we cut some more slabs off. So yeah, I'll cut them, like I say, around 1/4 of an inch thick, just thick enough for cabbing, and see what we get out of it. So let me get it in the saw and take another slice off, see what it looks like. Okay, here's the first slab I just took off of that side. Very interesting in there. I think I'm going to take another cut. Yeah, I think I'm going to take another cut. Let me look at the stone and make sure this continues on in. Got some nice banding over here too. You know, some pink color over here, some pink over here, some yeah, some nearly transparent, very translucent areas. So let me get another cut on this, see what it looks like. Okay, so here's the latest piece to come off. Don't get me wrong, it's still very pretty. There's still got some nice banding in it, some few nice colored areas, but I think we got the best of it. I mean, I think this piece here and this first piece I took off that face had the best thing going for it. Here's the rock. I don't know if I want to cut any more off of it right now. It's kind of a weird shape. It's getting small, hard to hold on to in the vise in there. I have to think about what to do with it. It might be nice just to polish the 3 faces on it and put it on like a rotating stand or something. Here's the other pieces I got off of it. I think all together, probably this piece, and this piece, those are the money shots basically out of this agate. I think those could be cabbed into some really nice looking stuff. And maybe parts of some of these other pieces too, yeah. You know, and I'm sure, you know, an artist could make something decent out of what's left in here too. Okay, so that's it for the Lysite Agate. We got a lot of slices out of it. That was actually a lot of fun cutting, and it held together pretty well. Didn't have very many pieces fall apart either. So that's great. Let's see what we want to cut next. Got what, 3 rocks left here. Could try cutting on this purple Jasper some more. I might actually try that before the end of the day, just to see if I can find something really good on the inside, deeper in. I think this is another Chert nodule, like that one back there. It sure looks like it on the outside. Not exactly the same, but I'm thinking that's what it is. And then we've got this banded iron. And I do like banded iron, let me tell you. It's one of my favorite rocks. Now looking at this, it looks like the bands are going through it this way. So I think I'm going to have to cut it like this to expose them. So I think I'm just going to throw this in the saw and take a quick cut or two across here and see what we get inside. This may not be a showpiece rock, but what I might do, if it looks halfway decent, is I might bust it up into smaller pieces and tumble the pieces, because tumbled banded iron is just absolutely gorgeous. You saw that earlier in the video when I was showing the stuff in my tumbler. So let me take a couple slices on this and see what it looks like. Alright, so here's a couple little pieces that came off this rock. There's the rock itself. I'll tell you what, this looks a lot like that dark banded iron that I cut up in my last rock cutting video, where it looked like it had a flame pattern on the inside. This looks really similar. It's too bad it's such a small rock. Alright, I'm going to take another slice off and we'll see what it looks like. Yeah, so here's the slice I just took off. That is a really pretty piece of banded iron. I really like that pattern in there. The colors are subtle, but very, very pretty. I really like the darker stuff. So it's like I say, it's a shame that rock is so small. I'm not sure what I can do with it. I was just mainly curious about what it was going to look like on the inside. And yeah, it's pretty on the inside. Alright, so here's the latest piece to come off. And here's the rock itself. I went ahead and pulled it out of the out of the saw because, yeah, like I said, every other slice is going to be smaller than this one. That's going to be the biggest slice I'm going to get out of it because I got to cut it this way to expose that wonderful banding inside there. So, not sure what I'm going to do with this rock. I mean, it's too pretty to just discard or throw in the rock garden. What I might do is maybe cut it up into smaller pieces, chunks, or bust it into chunks and tumble the pieces. Because they're going to, they would tumble up really pretty. So that's a possibility. But I think I'm just going to set this aside for now. And look at something else. I think this is just another chunk of chert. So I don't really think there's any point in cutting into it. Maybe I will sometime just for funsies, but you know, I don't think it's going to be anything terribly interesting. Probably not any more interesting than this. So we'll set that aside. So that leaves us with the infamous purple Jasper here. And maybe I will give it one more chance to give up something nice. Let me think about how I want to cut this. I've already cut this side, and I've cut this side. What I might do is just cut right, boom, right down through here. And see if there's anything halfway decent inside. If I can get it mounted in the saw, and just cut right through there, maybe perpendicular to this face. And we'll see what we get. Let me give it a try. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. It's more of this chert inside. It had a little fracture in it, broke along that fracture. I can see that fracture there continuing like that. So, yep, more chert. Nothing too exciting. Alright, so that's the last rock I've got to cut today. So, you know, we got chert. Zoom out so you can see what I got here. Got lots of chert. Got the purple Jasper and all the pieces I cut off of it over here in this pile. Not too exciting, not to me anyway. Got the Lysite Agate. Got some nice pieces off that Lysite Agate. I really like them. And here's the banded iron over here. Again, I like the banded iron a lot. So, yeah, it's a fun day with the saw, cutting up rocks from the west. And, you know, it's the last rock I've got to cut, but wife and I are going to be out west again next month. We're going to be back at our Wyoming place. We'll be out rock cutting again. I'll put a link up in the upper right corner to some of our rock cutting adventures in Wyoming. And then the month after that, we're going to be at the Arizona place for a while. And we're going to go rock cutting out there, too. So we'll be back with more interesting rocks from the west to cut into and see what's inside, I'm sure. We'll probably hit a few rock shops too while we're out there. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video enjoyable, interesting, educational, informative, inspiring, whatever. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see future videos. Press that little bell icon YouTube wants you to press to be notified when new videos come out. As a subscriber, you will be notified when I release a new video. Check out my second channel, ElectroGeek64. Good stuff going on there too. Please like, subscribe, press the bell icon, and comment there. And comment on this video. Feel free to comment. Any kind of comment, suggestion, constructive criticism, anything you like. Leave it below the video in the comment section. And thanks again for watching. Oh, here comes the thunder. I think I finished up just in time. So, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.